To all my fellow Harry Potter fans out there who are also entrepreneurs, this episode is going to be amazing because we're going to talk about a few magical business and leadership tips that we can pull from watching the Harry Potter franchise. Let's get right into it.
This is Don't Fear Grit with Rob Taormina. Marketing strategies and advertising technologies to help you build a better business.
So I know this is definitely going to trigger all of my fellow Harry Potter fans out there, but even for those that have never watched, this series like in its entirety, maybe you caught a few of the movies, but you're not a huge fan. We all know the brand of Harry Potter, though, and we know the general premise of the Harry Potter story. But for those who are big fans, obviously we want to be able to pull from the Harry Potter story sort of real life scenarios and let it illustrate life, right? And but for a business owner like myself, I'm gonna watch Harry Potter through a little bit of a different lens. And today, I thought, what better topic to talk about, like business and leadership skills, and what better sort of way of illustrating that than Harry Potter? It's sort of fresh on my mind because my family, we're actually big Harry Potter fans. We recently actually went to Universal Studios. I'll actually pull up a picture of us for those of you who are not just listening, but you're watching the show on YouTube. I'll pull up a picture. That's us. We were in Universal Studios and going to the two different Harry Potter worlds. Amazing. If you haven't done it, definitely go check that out. And yes, we all definitely got dressed up and were in the various Harry Potter houses. But anyway, we enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So I figured, what better way, right? What more of a fun way can we talk about leadership than leveraging the storyline and what happens in the Harry Potter world to help give us this visual of these various leadership topics. Because there's actually a lot of them. And I know, like all movies, it could be a stretch. It's like, all right, it's kind of like you can kind of see what kind of point you're trying to make here. But I think visuals are really important when trying to explain various topics to people. And what better, again, like I'm repeating myself here, but I'm like, what better topic or movie franchise than Harry Potter, one of the most recognizable movie brands out there, than to help us to understand these really, really important points. Let's get right into here to these various magical lessons because there's a lot of them, and I think as entrepreneurs and even if you're not an entrepreneur but you are a leader in a certain capacity, I think what makes great leaders even better or greater is the fact they're always in a constant state of learning. Never make the assumption that you have made it just because, let's say, you've got a promotion, you got a new title, you opened up a brand new business, right? Or even you achieved a goal. These are all stepping stones to something even greater. So I want all of us, regardless of where we're at in our life, to understand we always should be in a constant state of learning. So I think this is going to be a really great episode, a discussion for us to have, because I think that we all need to be growing more and more and more. And I think the lessons that we learn in Harry Potter are going to help us to really get those things. So the first one that I want to discuss here, the first magical lesson, I think, for all leaders and all people in business and as an entrepreneur, is to make sure that you are investing in a good team. This is really, really important. Now, one thing we all know about Harry Potter, and if you don't, I'll sort of fill in the blank here, and this is not really a spoiler alerts necessarily, right? But Harry had a really good group of people around him. And that's sort of what you can credit a lot of the success that Harry has to the people that he surrounds himself with. So you want to make sure that you're investing in a good team because you cannot do it on your own. Now, even if you're a solopreneur, you can't do it on your own. You're going to need other resources, vendors. You're going to need other softwares. There's other things that you're going to have to do in order to be able to scale, right? So as we'll use some terminology again back to Harry Potter, but the boy who lived, right, had this bravery and the dream to prove himself. And he surrounded himself with two primary characters, and this is sort of his core group. You got Hermione and Ron, and Hermione had the logic to overcome difficult tasks, and Ron had the interpersonal skills and the strategy. Remember that whole scene with the wizard's chess, and they all contributed to the overall success of Harry Potter's journey. So when you run a business, you're going to encounter problems, right? It's inevitable. You're going to encounter problems and difficulties on almost a daily basis, definitely a weekly, monthly basis. And the thing is, you're not going to be able to do it all on your own, and you're not going to be able to do it all. It's just not possible. You're going to need to put together a solid team that with you can achieve success, where each person has these set of sort of unique skills and also, by the way, shared goals that adds to the business success. I mean, does that make sense? Does that make sense for you guys? I think it's so important, and I don't think we stress this enough because we want to be able to be like, I did it on my own, right? I carried this. It's my own grit. No one supported me. I think that we should sort of change that a little bit and acknowledge the value in others. We need to acknowledge the value of a really good team. I think that you should not allow pride to enter the picture and distract you and prevent you from achieving real success. I think that the greatest success comes when you surround yourself with an amazing team, because you're able to, first of all, build success more efficiently, more respectfully, and maybe some of you guys don't really value it, doing it respectfully that much, but you certainly can do it faster as well when you're surrounded by amazing people that bring skill sets that maybe you're not an expert on. You might be good at a lot of things and great at one, right? I think that sort of like should be most people. But in order for you to really scale and build a big business, you have to have great aspects and great departments of all your business. And you can't expect yourself to do it all. You have to surround yourself with good people. That's super, super, super important here. Next lesson that we're going to be talking about, magical. We're talking about a magical lesson here, is to use your money wisely. It's super, super important to use your money wisely. This is something that most people throw caution to the wind, right? And they are not responsible when they start to experience the taste of success. And let me help you guys understand that. With Harry Potter grew up pretty much poor, right? He was this unwanted guest sleeping under the stairwell of his family's house, right? Not his parents, because his parents were killed, but his family's house. And Harry had every reason to splurge once he realizes that, in fact, he has a lot of money. And there's a moment in the movie where they go to the Harry Potter World Bank, which is Gringotts, with this character Hagrid, and he sees, wow, Harry Potter is loaded. But you see, he exercises restraint and responsibility, and that actually is a really a key component for success, both as a leader and an entrepreneur. It's so easy to fall into these traps. Like once your business starts making a little bit of money, to just sort of spend it everywhere, right? Or maybe after you qualify and you receive this really great loan or investment, to spend that money then on unnecessary things. The thing is, you need to be wise with how you spend money. It is absolutely imperative. You want to keep track of all your expenses. You want to be able to have the right accountants and accountability and bookkeepers to help you with this process. This is where I think a lot of people fail, is that they've got a great idea, they're passionate about it, and they work hard, and they start to reap the benefits of it, but they forgot to prepare for that moment, and they don't know how to manage money, and then they fail very, very quickly. That is quite common. It's actually more common than you would think. And I don't want you guys to fall victim to that scenario. So that's why we're discussing this particular topic that not a lot of people talk about here. But what about that moment where you finally achieve success, right? Making sure that you're responsible and wise about that particular part of success in business and leadership. Be really smart and accountable with your money. That's the only way that you're going to have continued growth, continued success, to be able to scale. If you spend it all, you're done, right? The next magical lesson that we are going to be talking about here is to do what you love. Let me just bring up my little cue card here for those who are watching. To do what you love. There you go. I love the Weasley twins. And the Weasley twins, it's Fred and George from the show, from the movie, the franchise Harry Potter. And there are these characters that are introduced really from the very, very beginning and consistent throughout as they're jokers, right? And they never really fit in with sort of like the regular pace of the world, of this particular world, right? The Harry Potter world. They're a little bit different than everyone else. And I forget what movie it is, but I think it's maybe 2 movies in or something like that. Maybe it's the Goblet of Fire that we really start seeing this, or maybe the one after that. But you really start seeing them really introduce some of these like magic potions, tricks, and they start like selling it in the school. They're little entrepreneurs themselves. And then later on, they open up their own shop called the Weasley's Wait. Oh my gosh, it's like a tongue twister. I think it was Weasley's Wizard Wheezes or something like that. Anyway, but they open up their own little shop right there, and they realize, I'm not meant to be a traditional wizard. I'm not meant to work at the Ministry of Magic, and this is sort of what I'm passionate about. This is what I love to do, and they followed that and experienced incredible success. So, doing what you love. So what does this mean to you guys, right? So, doing what you love is the goal for, I would say, most entrepreneurs, most people in leadership. They would love to be able to, to do what you're passionate about and do what you love, right? Whether that, again, be these entrepreneurs, leaders, people who are self-employed, small business owners. And it is absolutely, I want to be clear, like it is absolutely a worthy goal to have, to build a world where you love what you do. Right? Now, it may take quite a while to get there, but if you do it with passion and ingenuity, you're eventually going to succeed. Now, the key there of what I said, eventually is more often than not, is, and this is going to lead us to our next point, is we fall short of reaching our goals, not because we failed, but because we give up. I want that statement to resonate with all of you guys, because failure is not in the act of falling. Failure is when you finally just say, I refuse to get up anymore. I don't want you guys to fail by definition of because you gave up, just because it was maybe too hard, or you didn't achieve your goal by the timeline maybe that you set for yourself, or you've been disappointed and discouraged because of outside factors constantly in your head and things being sort of thrown at you, because maybe there are lots of challenges and you say, you know what, these are variables I can't control. I'm not meant to do that. How many times have you actually heard someone say, you know what, I guess I'm just not meant to do it? Isn't that another way of saying I'm just going to give up? That's the moment when people fail. They fall short because they give up actually, and not because they are actually failing at something. And I want that perspective to sink in, and I want it to change your mindset moving forward, because you never know if that next step is going to open up the door to the success that you've been waiting for. If you stop walking, you'll never know. So if you genuinely love what you do and genuinely believe that what you're doing can help other people and it's solving lots of problems, right? And you've done all your other homework, well, then you need to keep on pressing forward and do not give up. That is also the next lesson here that we are going to discuss. Let me just pull up my little slide, because this is a big one. I think this is probably the central theme of Harry Potter, right? Don't give up. Harry's life, if again, I know I'm making a lot of assumptions that people have watched Harry Potter, but I think pretty much everyone understands or is aware of the story of Harry Potter, right? But Harry's life was like crazy difficult. His parents are killed by this like evil wizard. He has to live with his uncle, aunt, and cousin who absolutely hate him. He loses his godfather, called Sirius Black, literally right after finding him and finding this out. He literally is injured all the time, breaks his bones. This is a kid who experiences a tremendous amount of adversity. And what did he do? Did he cry? Did he complain? Did he pout? Yeah, many times. But did he give up? No, he didn't give up. He actually saw his success through the whole entire process and was persevering through those moments of adversity where everyone else would have been like, it's okay for you to give up here. He didn't, because he saw something bigger that he was actually working towards. You should always keep this lesson with you. This is the one big one I really want you guys to keep with you, because as I mentioned before, small businesses actually fail a whole lot. They fail a lot. The statistics, you can sort of look this up online. 50% of businesses fail after the first year. 95% of all businesses fail within the next 5 years. And they do so for various reasons. I'll acknowledge that. And you know what? You're going to face a lot of problems. But through it all, I want you to really let this sink in. Let this be carved in your mind, so the next time you're experiencing adversity, you're going to pull this up, and this is what is going to really help you take that next step forward. You cannot give up. Most people give up. And that's actually the moment of true failure, is because it's the decision to give up. Moments of difficulty are not failure. That's not failure. You giving up is actually when you finally fail at something. So I know maybe my tone is a little bit different than I normally have during this particular show, right? Normally I have a very, very sort of positive approach. I'm an optimistic person. You guys probably know that about me by now, right? But I'm getting a little serious right now, because what I've observed, and I see this so often, and I don't want it to happen to everyone who listens to the show or watches the show, is I see that they're giving up just short of their victory. And your victory is going to come. It might not be your next step. It might not be maybe even next year, but your victory will come if you persevere and continue to pursue it. The only way for you to finish the race is for you to cross the finish line. You can't stop midway through the race and say, I finished the race. You got to continue to the end and cross the finish line. That is so very important. Our next magical lesson that we're going to be discussing is the importance, let me just pull this up here, is the importance to choose your tools wisely. You want to choose your tools really, really well. In the case of Harry, some of the tools that it was, and the show, the movie, like throughout every single movie of the entire franchise stresses the importance of the wand, right? It's not just any wand, but the right wand. And in his case, it's the wand, the invisibility cloak, the Marauder's map. Without these tools, it would have been nearly impossible for Harry Potter to defeat Voldemort and all these like Death Eaters and all these other crazy things, right? When you run your own business, you're also going to need the right tools to ensure your success. That means you're going to need the right hardware, right? It could be computers, phones, and whatever other specific tools that you're going to need to work. That's the reality of it. So again, it's not just the idea that is going to make you successful. It's going to be building out the infrastructure, surrounding yourself with also the right tools that are going to aid you in your journey to success. And there are a lot of amazing tools out there that complement leaders and entrepreneurs and help them along the way. I guarantee you give me anyone who's successful, they absolutely have an arsenal of tools that help them accomplish their tasks, whether it be their daily, weekly, monthly, annual tasks. They have tools. I mean, it's the reality of it. It would be like, imagine a construction worker trying to go build a house, but he has no tools, none. And it's like, all right, here's a forest. No, go build me a house, but you have no tools. That's not realistic. What is the construction worker going to do? Well, he's going to bring his toolbox. And he's going to bring not just any tools, he's going to bring the right tools for the job, because now there are different tools for each different job. Just like for you, there's going to be different tools for each project, for each moment, for each scenario. It's important for you to do your due diligence, research, and find the right tools that can complement what it is that you are doing. That is so very, very important. The next up, let me just trying to change my slide here. The next thing, the next one is, this is a hard one. I'll be honest. This next particular topic is a hard one for a lot of people. I would say, man, how can I put this delicately here? This is a hard one for a lot of people because I don't think that everyone's instincts are necessarily always on point, if that makes sense. Let me go ahead and publish this here so you guys can see it. For those of you I'm sorry if I'm slowing down here. I'm just getting the slides up for the people that are watching the show on YouTube and whatnot. But following your instincts is a wonderful, magical trait that illustrated throughout Harry Potter. And it is true that you need to have a lot more faith in yourself. And I will even liken having faith in yourself really being, you need to have confidence in what you're doing. Second guessing yourself constantly is going to really be a major obstacle that holds you back. And if you have a team, it's not going to give clarity to anyone, and no one's going to be able to get on board with you. So that's why I think in that regard, having that confidence is important. But in order to be able to constantly be following your instincts, like we see consistently throughout Harry Potter, we see that, I remember in the scene that you're seeing right here, Dumbledore sensed there was just something a little bit off about Tom Riddle, so he kept his eye on him. He felt his gut instinct, and that really helped them and aided them, later on is following your instinct. In Dumbledore's case, following his instinct. But in your case, you need to trust that the work that you put in is the work that you needed in order to get you to where you're going. If you're going to surround yourself with people, you can't always be micromanaging, but you've got to trust that the process that you had in place for hiring the right people is going to enable them to actually complete the task. So you need to trust that particular moment. Now, you have to also trust your instinct in the literal sense, because there are going to be sometimes things that you cannot necessarily always prepare for. Like, we don't have a crystal ball. So you're going to have to rely on your instinct in the moment to capitalize on that. And I would say a disadvantage to not being able to execute on an instinct is what's happening is you're, number one, allowing someone else to enter the picture and take advantage of that before you do, right? Because you're too slow to execute on that. And then another thing is maybe not someone else infiltrating and taking advantage of it, but maybe simply the market changes. I'll give a great example where I think a lot of people got hurt with this, is not following that instinct, is the trading card market. Now, what happens, and for those of you who don't follow sports or don't invest in trading cards, maybe this is a little bit over your head, but I will explain it to you so you understand it, because this is a really great example of the ability to follow your instinct and capitalize on it in the moment. With the trading card market, there are definitely very, very big changes in the market, and they are going to be impacted by the playing ability of certain athletes, and or someone retiring or unretiring. Like, these are all different variables that contribute to the success and the value of these cards. Now, if you got an instinct that based on the successful play of a player, his cards are going to go up, well, then you follow that instinct and you capitalize on it and sell. A lot of people hold. Oh, it's going to go up even more, not understanding there are all these other variables at play here. And the person gets hurt, they have to retire, and then the card loses value. So being able to follow your instinct is a big one. Oh, I just realized I sorry guys, I realized I didn't change the slide, and so you were just looking at the same slide for a while. But following your instinct is a big one, but it's a delicate one at the same time as well. So I don't want to say this as an absolute truth for you guys. You guys know I don't like talking in absolute truths, but for this one, follow your instinct, but make sure you're in a place where you have the experience and the knowledge to be able to do that, because it also could be irresponsible if you don't have the right sort of accountability and knowledge to back it up, if that makes sense, right? The next one here is, I think, the one that everyone probably suffers from, and therefore we're going to talk about it, and then you are going to be able to not suffer from it anymore, just to speak directly. And that is, don't be stubborn to change with the times. This is a magical lesson we can learn from Harry Potter. Harry Potter always does not like this one character called Professor Snape. However, before Snape dies in the movie, when he confesses how he actually was critical to helping Dumbledore and helping behind the scenes, almost like sort of like this like spy, Harry Potter actually realizes how wrong himself he was. Now, in business, it's good to follow your instincts, like I said before, right? But it's also important to know when to stop being stubborn and to change your mind. Businesses survive by adapting to the times, but if you're too stubborn, you're just gonna get stuck in the past. You have to be adaptable. You have to be flexible. And I know it sounds like I'm contradicting what I said a little bit earlier here, but you need a healthy balance with all of this, because even like I was saying with the trading card market, there are these variables that are ever changing. And if you're not aware of them and are able to adapt to these ever changing environments, well, you're going to get stuck. And when you get stuck and everyone is moving forward, that means you're getting left behind. And I don't want you to go ahead and fall victim to that. The next magical lesson, this is going to be the last magical lesson that we discussed today, as illustrated and as seen in the whole Harry Potter series, is to not underestimate your competition. Does that sort of like hurt a little bit hearing that? Because maybe that's something that you also have done and you got hurt by this. Does that sort of make sense? I know we have a tendency maybe to also don't overestimate, but I'm saying don't underestimate your competition, because I know we want to have this level of arrogance, right? And saying that, I'm the best, but be careful here. One of the main reasons that Voldemort, is not successful and he dies and he loses, besides of course the the obvious whole evil thing, right, was that he meaning Voldemort underestimated almost every single competition that he had. In every single movie, even when they flash back to things like, Voldemort always underestimates his competition and allows arrogance to infiltrate and lead the way. He underestimates the house elf. He underestimates the power of Potter's family's love. But most of all, he underestimates what this young boy could do against his alleged massive evil organization. Don't be like Voldemort. Don't be overconfident. Don't be arrogant. Don't underestimate your competition, but be careful. And pay careful attention to who is your main competition or who are your main competitors. And you want to keep an eye on those that are not your competitors yet. That is so important. I do a tremendous amount of market research for all of my clients. We do it on the front end when we're onboarding brand new clients, and we do it throughout the life of every single client. And what part of that is, we are analyzing the market, specifically the competition. We want to know, what is the competition doing? What is the competition saying? What are clients, customers saying about the competition? We are constantly analyzing the competition. Number one, there's valuable information that you can use to your own advantage, but also there's valuable strategic data that can actually reveal what they are going to do next. And therefore, like the game of chess, you can then have 2, 3, 4 moves planned ahead of them and always be ahead of the game. When you get your business to a place where now you are outperforming your competition, in order to continue to outpace them, you have to be able to make certain predictions. And in order to do that, one of the key ways of doing that is to keep a careful eye on them. What are they doing? Analyzing their moves, how I'll get super granular here, right? How are they talking to their customers? What is their follow-up procedures? There are so many things that are available online that you can leverage to be able to make better decisions, and your competitors do that. Another really at a big corporate scale, Home Depot and Lowe's. I remember when Lowe's was first scaling and going everywhere, and one of their primary market sources of market information was, no surprise, Home Depot. And it should come as no surprise to everyone that wherever there is a Home Depot, there's a Lowe's like within a mile. And sometimes there's a Lowe's within even closer, a half a mile. And that's not an accident. That's intelligent. That's intentional. Part of Lowe's market research was what? To keep an eye on Home Depot as their competition or as their future competition, and leverage the data to make good decisions. And Lowe's was able to infiltrate and be a disruptor in an industry where Home Depot really was just like the big game in town. They almost had like a monopoly. They were driving out all the little guys, right? Enter Lowe's. They simply were just keeping a healthy, careful, watchful eye on Home Depot and leveraging that particular data. So those are just 8 magical tips that I think I pulled from Harry Potter, and I know there's a lot more, and I'd love to be able to hear from you guys, like, what are some other, maybe different movie franchises that we can sort of look at and say, all right, what can we learn as a business owner, as a leader? What can we learn from these lessons? that I actually am always looking through the lens of an entrepreneur and a leader when I'm watching movies. I do, because I do a lot of speaking, public speaking, and I like visuals, right? I like talking with story. I think it really helps people to understand and visualize what it is that you're communicating. So that I would love to know, like, what movie franchise should we analyze next, and to pull incredible business advice and incredible leadership advice from. I think it'd be awesome. If you like this, guys, do me a favor, share it with at least one person, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan. I want to know where are my fellow HPers out there, right? But do all those amazing things that mean a lot to me. We love this community. We love creating more content. And what drives it are you guys subscribing, liking, sharing, all that stuff. That is the data that we look at that really drives us to continue to create more amazing shows just like this one. Guys, as always, don't fear the process and don't fear grit. We'll see you next time. Take care.